You know, it decided to crash. That's cool. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, this is following on from the last one, right? But what is probably going to be nice is I suppose I can do another request of people's. Yeah, we're back in business. Yes, the thing that sucks about PlayStation streaming is that when the application closes, the stream stops. So normally when you're streaming something and the application crashes, you can kind of still stream and keep going and then just restart whatever application you were streaming on, no problem, like on a PC. But on the PlayStation 4, no, not a chance. So I'll continue from where I was. Well, I'm not continuing from that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do another person's request. Right? So then I can get two done in one night, and then we can have a different thing afterwards and just pretend that this whole sorry fair never happened. Yeah, that's what we can do. Just pretend it didn't crash, okay? Oh, agony. Great. Well, I will take a break before I start doing anything. Right. And then get back to us all. Missy Emma's filled out a form. I will basically see what's going on with that. DB406 on Brighton to Eastbourne. Okay, that's a good response. I like that one. But I do have a list of all the requests that I've had so far. And I'll just call it Missy M on that. Another 406 one, and that was on the East Coast way. Hooray. So we're back in business. Somehow. You okay with your username? Yep. Fantastic. Right, well I will be right back. And then I guess I'll pick someone else's to do at well, that was at 3 AM, so now we'll do one at 4 AM. It's not dumb, don't worry. It's not a dumb request at all, actually. But I'll be right back. Hopefully it doesn't crash when I'm gone, or else I'll throw a fit and I don't know. Throw the TV out the window, something like that. I'll be right back. Alright, now I've returned. Fantastic. Okay. What I'm going to do is also send people the YouTube stream link that I forgot to invite earlier on. I'm not too good at this job. Not too great. And I'll do another one, trying to see which route we go on next. I'm trapped in Canada, so this is kind of like travelling for me. They do have a Canadian route, the only problem is I don't have it. Because I'm not interested in freight line routes, and unfortunately the only route that they've done for Canada has freight on it, really. Freight trains, which I'm very about. Speedy train time, yes, I'm going to be driving the 406 on the either on East Coast Way or Great Western. I think I want to do East Coast Way, honestly, at night. So for this I'll make a new thing. Right. M is for Miss Kittycat. It is. I'll go from Eastbourne all the way to Brighton. So we're travelling a fair distance here. And because I haven't set it off the rails, that means yeah. So, right, the last one was at 3 AM. The problem being, the last stream crashed early, Saran, by the way, and I didn't manage to invite you to it because I kind of forgot. So, instead, I've decided that I'm just going to start again. I'm going to keep the same title because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and then after the video's over I'll change the title of it so that it works out, basically. Where's the 406? It's there. Yep. And I'm the only one on the line, so won't be seeing any trains coming the other way, but that's okay. Because the point is to look at this train going really quickly. And I'm not sticking to the speed limit, I'm going as fast as I think is permissible without coming off the tracks. And I'll get another drink. I just realised. I'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome. Oh, welcome, Hope. So right. Today I'm not actually doing what's in the title of the video. The last stream was doing what was in the title of the video, however... Oh. The DB 406 ICE 3N. It's a very long train, it's a German train, it will speak German when I start it up. Powered by electricity, it's very, very quick. And also very, very long. And it seems to be popular amongst the users that I've essentially given the form to. So, this is going to probably please quite a few people. Right, how do I kick it into no? In German. Okay. Left door's unlocked. Fantastic, and people do actually get off the train. That's great. Where are the lights? Dim tie beams, cab lights on. The brake is off. Speak to futuristic long boy. Indeed. I think this train was actually built in the late 90s, so quite forward thinking for its time, because a lot of trains that are modern and being used around the world are very much like this. Now I think this has a coupling hatch at the front, but I'm buggered if I know how to open it. It does actually open though, somehow. Nice. Give it some throttle power. And that's the horn. So, lots of people have been requesting this one. The deal that's going on with the request at the moment is that this is Miss Kittycat's request, although it's also very similar to Lissaran's request, which is to drive this train on Great Western Express, which is a different route. However, I'll tackle that another day. But still, it's the same train as that one. This train is not fitted with AWS, it's fitted with SEFA, and I don't know how to turn SEFA on. However, SEFA is apparently the most annoying train safety system in the world. Do apologise if anyone watching is German, but you made a really stupid safety system because it asks you every minute to click the button to check whether the driver's still awake. And I don't know how to turn it on. That's probably a good thing, because otherwise it would ask me every single minute to press the button, whilst yelling SEFA, SEFA, SEFA in my ear. And then if I didn't press it in time, it would essentially slam on the brakes and stop the train. But this thing is fast, very fast. It's also probably too long to fit onto the screen. However, you get a lovely view of the East Coastway route, which runs from Eastbourne to Brighton in the south of England. So there's that. Welcome, Danny. I essentially just started the stream up again because it crashed. Now I'm going to run this thing as fast as I dared run it, so I'm not going to be sticking to this silly 70 miles an hour speed limit, or 80, because that's not fast enough for me. Let's see how fast we can get there. So, everybody's requests have been added to the spreadsheet that I'm working on. So far I've done Pascal the Pommies, which was 3 AM Dewsbury to Manchester. Now I'm doing Miss Kittycat's, which is 4 AM Eastbourne to Brighton in this train. Next up on the list will probably be a passenger focused one where we'll be making multiple stops, probably, if I manage to get a request together for that. Then I'll put them in a kind of order, starting from 3 AM and working our way around 24 hours until we eventually get to 2 AM, and that'll be our last video for this particular challenge. And also yeah, I derailed. Whoa! Okay. No, that was too fast. Oh dear. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention there, was I? That's what a derail looks like. Oh dear. That's not gone well. I wasn't paying attention. So everybody on the train is now either dead or burning alive. The entire southern network of the United Kingdom has just gone down. But I'm just going to start it up again, because I want to try again. The lights are not on. They are now. Dimmed high beams. Horn works. Brakes, I believe, are applied, yeah. Nice. I'll just do it again. That sounds easier, doesn't it? Wasn't the greatest thing in the world, that. But we're moving again. And so, hopefully, I don't derail it again. I was going too fast around that corner. Maybe I should stick to the speed limit for a little bit, which will eventually be 80 miles an hour in 2 miles. So the point where I went off was this one, I think, yeah? So we're going from there all the way over there, which is just over about 20 miles or so. I am looking forward to the 465 coming out, but yeah, so before the, yeah, I'm just going to catch up on the chat again. My request was based solely on which train was the prettiest and which route sounded like the coolest. Pretty choo-choos. I'm excited to see which route we go on next. I'm trapped in Canada, so this is kind of like travelling for me. Speedy train time, yeah. Yeah, basically. I think 90 is an appropriate speed for the corner we're about to take. I think. So I'll look from above and we'll see what we can see. Although I'm not really familiar with any of the landmarks on this route, but hey, I'm sure it's an adventure for all of us because I'm the only one in this stream that is in the UK, so... The only Canadian route is somewhere near Oakville, apparently, and it's apparently all about freight trains, which is a bit sucky because freight trains are not my favourite thing in the world. I think this is the corner that we tripped up on last time. And we went straight into the side of somebody's house, so yeah, that was good. And that corner is very tight. I used to live in Oakville. Wow. That's a sheer coincidence right there. But I am now basically forced to look up the look up that route and to see what's there. Used to live in Oakville though. Wow. Let's see. It's the only Canadian route so far, which is a bit of a shame because as far as I know they haven't announced any more that they're going to do. Though I don't know much about Canadian things. Okay, so it goes from... Oh. It goes from Hamilton to Oakville, basically, in Canada. And I believe that all of the trains there are basically freight trains. Are you going a little too fast? I was. But I can sort of put the speed up a bit, I mean... I was going too fast before, I know that, but yeah, so CN Oakville Subdivision is what that DLC is called, and I'm not really interested in it because it's got freight trains in it. However, might be interesting. Nothing too interesting, I promise. There are way more interesting routes they could have picked. Hamilton is kind of blur. Hammertown, oh okay. I see. See, it's very blur. I mean, speaking of bad route choices, I think they do way too many in the United States that are just not interesting. That's not me saying that there's nowhere in the United States that's interesting to drive by train, because that's certainly not the case, and as Lissaran kind of showed me yesterday, actually, they do have light rail systems in Houston and also Dallas, so I mean that will be the first time that they even do a light rail system, and to be honest it's more interesting than a freight route in the United States, which funnily enough is the next route apparently coming on the list, so hooray for anyone who likes freight that's a fan of this game, but I personally don't. I've got Sandpatch Grade and that's it. Peninsula Corridor runs from San Francisco to San Jose. The only problem is, yeah, I think it's San Jose, yeah. Only problem is they didn't really model San Francisco well because, well, it's a big place and the station shows off quite a lot of San Francisco, so if they did model it all, it would probably overpower my console and make it blow up. So, yay. Though, yeah, that was a bit of a shame. Speaking of other routes that they're doing the Arosa line, which is in Switzerland, which is supposed to be really nice, and the Glasgow Cathcart Circle line, which is located in Glasgow, Scotland. And then there's another American line which I think is Cane Creek. And somewhere in Germany I also don't like the German routes, because they're rather boring. Main Spessartbahn and also Hauptstrecke Rheinbrücke is what I've also got, and also Achtung, Schnell, Helmut, Volkstrecke, I don't know German. The DLC that this train is from, which is from Cologne to Aachen in Germany, it's that one's pretty much, you only really want it for the high speed train that comes with it, because you can belt blast down that route in this train, reaching very high speeds. Also the windows are tinted, so that's why it's a bit dark looking outside. What's my favourite route in this game? If somebody asked me that question, you know, I really can't answer that. Someone would probably guess it's Northern Transpennine because that's my local route. The only issue that I have with Northern Transpennine is it's not modelled after today, meaning it doesn't have AWS support or anything like that. So I would test trains using Northern Transpennine if it had that, but it doesn't. Also, the speeds on Northern Transpennine are very low. Also, there's a lot of gradients, so that slows you down a bit. It is meant to be a challenging route, because you are without the safety systems that would normally be in place today whilst driving along Northern Transpennine. I've got to slow down pretty quickly. But I'm slowing down so much the wheels are slipping. Because we're about to pass Lewis, which has a low speed station that you got to go through. Right, there we go. East Coast Way is actually regarded amongst the fan base probably one of the best routes they've ever done, which is what we're driving on now. The reason why it's one of the best is because it's incredibly accurate to how it is in real life. They only missed a few things with this one. It's apparently so good, it was, quoting somebody on the Dovetail Games forums here, it's the route that I use as a benchmark for all others. And I have to agree with him. I really, really do. I think that's a fair assessment of East Coast Way. I think East Coast Way is my favourite because it flows. It doesn't sting you with incredibly low speeds. The only time when it does that is really in Lewis, but if you expect it, then you know what's coming. It doesn't have crazy gradients like in Northern Transpennine. It has all the modern safety systems for it, supported for British trains anyway, because they're the ones that are fitted with it. It looks nice, it's a nice setting. The southeast of England is pretty, I'll give it that. And it's not too long either. I think it's a decent route all around. It's about 25 miles long, maybe even less. So it's probably the most relaxing route on this game, really. Now, Southeastern High Speed, which is the latest route in the United Kingdom, that's pretty good as well. It's not going to be my favourite though. Tees Valley Line, which is also on the forum. That one's nice. I like the bit with the industrial part of the Tyneside sort of Teesside Valley, sorry, which is actually not too far away from me, but it is far enough away that I would say that it's a decent drive away, near Redcar and basically below Newcastle. Then what I really would like them to do is, I guess, York to Scarborough. Scarborough's a seaside resort. It's actually one of the first seaside resorts. One of the most famous anyway in the United Kingdom. I think York to Scarborough would be an excellent addition to this game. I also think a route in Wales would be fantastic, because Wales is a beautiful part of the United Kingdom. And I'm one of the strange United Kingdom people who says that Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland are their own countries. They technically are, it's just that no one really refers to them as such. They just say it's still the UK, that I use their proper names and act as if they're their own independent nations, because they do feel a lot different from England. So, yeah. I really wish they'd stop making more German routes. I really wish they'd stop doing US routes that were all freight focused, because I don't like freight trains very much, and the United States has so much more going for it than just that. I also wish they'd do stuff in Canada. They've only been to France once, they've only been to Canada once, they're only probably going to go to Switzerland one time, so they really do need to start branching out. They've never been to Japan, despite Japan being the home of the bullet train, which you'd think would be the obvious place to go, but they haven't yet included a DLC in Japan. Although, in order for them to do that, they would have to get permission from JR, which is Japan Rail, who basically operate the bullet trains. They would have to get express permission for them to use their license, their brand, their logo in-game, because they own the rights to the logo and also everything the logo is placed on. Also, they would probably have to go to Japan, and we're in the middle of a lockdown, and yeah, there's no air traffic going at the moment. So yeah, no trips to Japan yet. But saying that, they have been to Europe, obviously, to do the other upcoming DLCs, so that means that they've probably already got everything done in advance. So I don't know, maybe next time when they announce stuff, Japan might be in there. And I imagine that lots of people would like to see Japan, especially weebs. And there's a big difference between anime fan and weeb in my mind. An anime fan is somebody who is a fan of anime, and yes, they say that they're a fan of anime, and they really are. A weeb is someone who pretends to know Japanese when they don't know Japanese, because it's one of the most difficult things ever. Specifically, they know how to they don't know how to say Japanese words. I think every single time a weeb mispronounces a Japanese word, one person in Japan dies. I think that's what happens. It's a brilliant language, but I don't think anybody who just says, "Oh, I know Japanese," 9 times out of 10 they probably don't. And then there's only a few people who can probably write it that aren't Japanese, you know, born and raised, so there's that. There's that to think about. Then the weeb army will come. But no, I'm exaggerating. The likelihood of the weeb community, if you like, being interested in train simulation is kind of, yeah, none of them are really going to care. But as for you guys, you probably would like to see the bullet train, and you know, if they end up making that, for sure I will pick it up if I'm guaranteed that someone might be interested in watching it. It'll probably be a nice journey as well, so hey ho. Lots of trees on the side of the track, so. And also, I'm going to have to start slowing down. Ooh dear. This is not good. Very good brakes in this though. So good that the wheels are slipping to try and slow us down. But we have pretty much reached the end of our journey. Brighton station is over there. And here's the bridge that goes over. It's an old aqueduct, most likely. Or is it an aqueduct? Actually, it's a viaduct, right. So the interesting thing is that Romans did not invent the aqueduct. But they did build them in the United Kingdom. What we've gone over is a viaduct, because a viaduct you walk or drive over, an aqueduct still carries water. So, they are basically the same thing, they're just different methods of transporting different things. That was a viaduct. But it's a very nice one. And we're going to be pulling into Brighton shortly. And this journey has basically taken us about 20-25 minutes. Not bad at all. All I have to do now is actually stop in the right place, where the game will place down markers if you set that to happen. The game will not babysit you if you don't want it to. So I could drive without any heads up display if I wanted to, but I don't want to, because then I'll make a mistake. Brighton station is also very lovely inside. Yeah, I hit the buffers. Oh, I derailed it right at the end. By hitting the bumpers. The buffers. Anyway. Shall we just consider that done? Yeah? Yeah, I think we'll consider that done. That was Miss Kittycat's request done. And then now I'll move on to something else. Whatever people want to see. Because I've got time. Perhaps another hour of me streaming. But I will very quickly be right back. In the meantime, if you'd like to suggest something within the chat box, you can do so. I don't mind doing that, but I'll be right back. Alright, I've returned. Yeah, my mic was... Sorry about that. But I'm back now. And I'm just gonna quickly show somebody something that I've got. And then I will move on to what I'm doing. Welcome back, Miss EM. You've come back at the same time I have. And... right. Okay, I'm helping somebody make a comic commission by using copies of my comic script that I made. We're on the Peninsula Corridor from San Francisco to San Mateo, and I'm using the new Southeastern High Speed Class 395. Maybe I can invite somebody for the same... Okay, if I leave early, I gotta do something, I might be back. That's okay, you can leave early if you want to. And, I mean, I could be back. I could be streaming by the time you get back, but... I don't know, we'll just see what happens. See you around. Oh, thank you for coming anyway. Please don't go on the red light for the whole thing, thank you. Fantastic. Right, here's what we're driving. 395, which is another high-speed train. We have seen it go past on one of the other services that we've done tonight. Unlock doors on the right, if they register. No, they don't. It wants me to do it on the left for some reason. One of those little bugs. Wow. Wow, okay, that's interesting. That is interesting indeed. So, it looks like the 395 has been given dynamic destination board, which was an improvement they said they were going to make, and it looks like they have definitely made it. So usually how destinations boards work in Train Sim World is if the train was made for that specific route, it will probably display the destination on its board. So here, this train is from Southeastern High Speed, so it would only display the routes that were on that route, display the destinations on there. However, because this has dynamic destination board support, it displays San Mateo, even though it's not really supposed to be on this route. Which is interesting, and it must have been a recent addition, because it didn't used to do that. The destination board used to just be blank if it didn't know what to do, basically. So that's interesting. I learned that today, and that will mean that in future videos, if this one's featured, it will probably use the right destination on the board. So yeah, that's that. We are in neutral. Brakes should come off on the single set. There we go. And now we can get moving. So here's San Francisco, apparently. Oh, I haven't set the power mode, have I? Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. Control. Pan up, shoes down. And again. BCB light has gone on, so that should mean that we have AC power. guessing that we do. Okay. Yep. We do indeed have power. Coolio. Right. So off we go to San Mateo, which is quite a distance away. And this is the inside of the 395. And what you'll notice is that the speedometer isn't reading in miles per hour, it's actually using kilometers per hour. And that's because whilst in AC power mode, which is supposed to be from overhead cables, there aren't any on this route. We're playing off the rails, so that means that the rules of the route don't really apply to the train. Because the rules don't apply to it, it means that we don't need there to be overhead power lines to power the actual train itself. So I can drive it wherever. Except you probably wouldn't want to drive this on the Bakerloo line, which is in entirely tunnels on the London Underground, because the tunnels are very small and they're designed for the little tube stock that run through there. So this train would probably be too tall to fit in the tunnels, and thus you'd clip through the wall of the tunnel at the top. Which wouldn't be good, because you wouldn't be able to see where you're going. So, yeah, that's the deal with that. That's why I choose the option off the rails. It means I can drive anything, anywhere, even though it's not compatible, realistically speaking. It's just for the purposes of making more interesting videos, because if I had to, you know, work with the constraints that are there, I wouldn't be able to drive this on this route at the moment. So, the 395 is also nicknamed the Javelin. It's a high-speed train that operates in the United Kingdom. And essentially, it has two different modes of power. It's got DC power and AC. AC power comes from the overhead lines, and DC comes from the third rail, which is... You'll probably have seen a third rail at some point if you've been anywhere near a railway track, because most of them have it. A third rail that just carries electricity that the train uses to power itself. Yeah, and in AC power mode this thing is very sprightly, it's very quick. In DC power mode it's not that quick. So, yeah. That's how that's working. And the 395 is a nice train. Make no mistake. It's not got as high as it's not got the highest top speed out of all the high-speed trains that are actually available in the game. The 406, which you saw earlier, actually has a higher top speed than this. This thing has about 120, well, 140 really is its top speed. But usually it doesn't really want you to go above 120 for line speed. But I'm a rebel without a cause, so I'll drive it at whatever speeds take my fancy, as long as I can get away with it without derailing the train. And also the braking system is also reliant on electricity. And electric brakes aren't as effective at high speed as they are at low speed, so we may not be able to stop on a dime with this, but that's okay. So the best thing, well, the nicest thing about this is that I just like this train. It was the highlight of South Eastern High Speed. It's included with the route, so it was one of the reasons why I got it. Also, it's another British route, so I can use my mostly English trains in Train Sim World 2 on that route. So it's money well spent, in my opinion. It's also very well done. Peninsula Corridor, however, I don't reckon too much to it. I don't think it's the greatest route in the world, Peninsula Corridor, I've got to be honest. It's nice and straight and flat, so I guess you can drive pretty much any train on it, but aside from that, it's not really got a whole lot going on. It's very open and, well, it's California, it's open, it's got rolling hills, sure, but I mean, there's nothing really here, is there, to look at? Except whatever is on our left, and I don't even know what that is. Is it a power station? Is it an oil storage? I don't know what that is. Yeah. But any more questions that you might have, I'll be able to answer them as best as I possibly can. Ah, yes. Cleaning your living room. I don't actually own my own place, so I don't have to... I say I don't have to do that. I mean, it's not my home, but... It's not as if I'm that lazy, it's just... I do clean it on occasion, it's just... It's not my living room, it's my grandparents' living room, so... That's the difference there. But as for whatever's coming next in the game, the 465, I'm looking forward to. I will be driving that, hopefully, when it comes out on the 4th of March, which is, unfortunately, it's a bit annoying for me, because on the 5th of March, that's when I have a dentist appointment, and that's when I'm going to have at least one tooth removed. Now, I'm aiming to have just all of them removed and then replaced with dentures. I am very young to have dentures, I'm 20. Right. And I know that's my fault, right? That's my fault that that's happened. But, yeah. So when I have that done, I am probably not going to be able to talk at all for any videos whatsoever. So what that means is I basically have to do a stream on the 465 on the 4th of March, because otherwise, if I don't, I won't get a chance to after that point for a while, and I really do want to show it off as soon as possible, because I said I would a long time back. I thought that the release date would be earlier than that, so that I wouldn't have to worry so much. My appointment is at 11:50 in the morning, so it is likely I'm going to have to stay up all night after the stream is done in order to make my appointment. So, yeah, I basically don't have much of a choice. Which means that afterwards I won't be able to do a stream. I can still make videos, I can't do the commentary for them though. So either I stock up on doing commentary, which means it most likely will be out of date by the time it's published, or I just do videos without any commentary until I've got my dentures and can actually talk properly. I mean, that's how I see it happening anyway. And I don't actually know where we are in relation to anything else, but 7 miles away from San Mateo apparently. Don't push yourself too hard though, your mouth will be sore and you'll need to rest. Oh yeah, I know about it being sore because I once had 17 of them removed. Yeah, I had 17 teeth removed at some point. I only have 9 left. Technically 8. So, yeah. I had 17 removed at some point. That was actually 2 years ago, I think. Well, actually 3, to be honest. 3 years ago, I think. And, I mean, I really only needed 2 weeks to recover from that one. But that was because I booked 2 weeks off of college. I had college at the time. So what had actually been happening with that was, for the for about a year in college, I had toothaches every single day. So the toothaches that I had every single day would happen around the same sort of times, which would mean I'd have to go home and take painkillers to try and get rid of the pain. What I was on at the time was cocodamol, which is paracetamol and codeine. Codeine is a type of opiate which is, to be honest, quite weak. Paracetamol and codeine is supposed to be a good combination for pain relief. It really wasn't, because that actual medication did not last more than 2 hours. It's supposed to last about 4 hours. Only barely managed to do about 2. So I had 2 hours of pain relief, but then it was 4 hours until I could take it again. So it was basically, I had hardly any pain relief at all, and it used to keep me up at night. I used to have to get up in the middle of the night to go and take another painkiller tablet. And I was doing this for about a year. So then I finally had to get them removed, basically, because I couldn't carry on like that. And I was taken to the dental hospital. It's a hospital, to have surgery done to remove 17 teeth. And I really wish that now they had taken out more than 17. In fact, I wish they'd taken out all of them, so I wouldn't have to be here today having to get these ones removed. The reason that they're even removing them in the first place is not because they hurt, it's because I've got an infection in one of them, and that one needs sorting out as soon as possible, otherwise the infection will spread to my nose, because the infection is actually eating away at the bone of my palate that's above my, basically at the roof of your mouth. And at which point I would need surgery for that. So, yeah. That's why they're being removed anyway. I decided, okay, whilst they're taking out that one, they might as well try and get the rest. But I just want this one to be removed. They're definitely doing that, but I don't know whether they're going to take out the rest on the same day, or they're going to ask me to go back and then do them. If they do ask me to go back, then it's not really so bad. It's not too bad at all. I don't mind that, as long as they sort out this one. I'm not too bothered, because the other ones aren't causing any pain. So yeah, that's the whole story. I have to slow down. Max brake. Can I slow down in time? San Mateo is right ahead. And here we are at San Mateo, pretty much. And I should probably do some more stuff in the stream. I might try and make it a 2-hour stream, I guess, maybe. Well, I don't know. You can tell that this train wasn't built to go on this route because, well, look at the platform and then look how high up the train is. This was actually built for the F40 PH2 which is included with the Peninsula Corridor DLC, which is a big American train which has large carriages, being the things it pulls that hold the people, that has very low, they have doors that are very low down. So they would be able to reach down there, but our train is built in the United Kingdom and obviously to different tolerances, so yeah, you basically have to just jump off the train if you wanna, yeah. I mean, that may be the reason why American train travel is so different, because they might engineer their tracks to be at different tolerances than ours. So one of the main things that I've been asking myself is, why don't American services operators just buy trains from the British stock to use on their railway lines? And then I think Peninsula Corridors kind of taught me that the ones that are built in the United States, their platforms are probably not going to be at the same height. So unless they completely redo every single station in the United States, that's just not going to be possible. They could engineer a new train based on ours. Sorry, but yeah, I don't know why they don't just take more inspiration, you know, because it really does seem it seems difficult. I mean, not difficult, it seems a bit straightforward that they take inspiration from a country that is very developed in terms of railway networks, although a lot of the railway networks that once went through the United Kingdom are actually long gone now. But I'll talk about that when I come back. I'll go for a small break. I'll be right back. Alright, we maybe have time to do one more thing. Tonight anyway, and then I'll end the stream once I've done that. So, let's make it count. I haven't really driven on Long Island Railroad, but I'm not super confident in doing that just yet. So, yeah. Tees Valley, I guess, maybe? That's a good one. Welcome, Matt Black. This whole thing... So I'm basically choosing another thing to do. I've already done what's in the title of the video last time, in the previous stream, because it crashed last time. Hooray, but that was because it was running since I set it up, so that might be it. And now I can do one more thing. Can't really hear though, I've got to get my earbuds. Oh, right, okay. Fantastic. Okay. I've got time to do a few things. Let's go from... Suppose we can go from Old Oak Common, which is to London Paddington, because why not? And I'll use... I don't know, what do we think? High speed train, the class 43, the 101, the 45, the 47, the 166, the 20, 31, or just anything else really. What are we thinking? I can go with any that people want. And then after once I've done the stream, I can talk to my boyfriend, because apparently he's still going to be around tonight. He actually contacted me halfway when I started doing the stream anyway last time, so yeah. Right. Anybody gonna suggest a train that I want gonna be driving today? I mean, for this last thing. Well, one of them. I know nothing of trains, but either dealer choice or maybe whichever train is the oldest has an interesting history. Okay, class 43. Class 43. I'll do just 4 things. And I'll also switch on the rain effects, because why not? Which I have to do through an exploit, because there is no weather selection in the scenario planning mode. So I'll select rain. Cloud, we won't want it to be really cloudy, do we? Not really. Rain, because it rains a lot in the UK. And let's go. Ooh, rain. See, I could have added your rain. I could have added rain to your request, Pascal. The problem being is that it would be very, very dark if I added the rain, because it also adds clouds. So it would have been very dark with your request, and it would have been very hard to see the train itself because it would be so dark. So that is why I didn't add rain on your request. But I can do rain during the day, and then it'll be perfectly fine to see it. Here we go. And we actually have rain effects. And here is the class 43. In the GWR livery. GWR obviously being owned by First Group, and it's in this green colour scheme. I'll switch on the AWS and DSD also. We won't have DSD. There we go. I'll explain AWS as well in this video, just because it's relevant. Day headlamps and markers. Train surprise on bright. Welcome. Welcome Matt Black with the earbuds on. Wipers I can turn on. Which are somewhere. They're over there. I'm looking for the... not the brake test, gauge dimmer. There we go. Very nice. Wiper control is right over here. Speed. Oh, it's very slow at the moment. I can turn that up. Wiper speed, I'll put that on 75. Yeah, I think that's quick enough. I'll take the brakes off, put it in forward. There's the horn. And we've got quite a few carriages today. We've got a unit at either end giving us power, so there's an identical unit at the back here. So if we were driving in the opposite direction from where we're going, we would get in this one and then go in that one, but we're in the front unit this time. We're in Old Oak Common, which is where they're going to store all of the locomotives that they use on Great Western that they use on the Great Western Main Line. The speed limit in here is at about 10 miles an hour, I think. Yeah, I think it's about 20 or 15 more like. So I'll first explain the Class 43. Class 43 is a train that was developed in the mid-1970s in the United Kingdom. It's famous because it holds a world record. It is officially the fastest diesel train in the world. So what you're looking at is the fastest diesel train in the world. And in game it doesn't really, in reality it doesn't feel like it's the fastest because it takes a long time to get up to its maximum speed. Its maximum operating speed is 125 miles an hour, but its maximum speed that it ever went to get the world record was 148 miles an hour. And that is officially the fastest a diesel train has ever been able to go that's been in production that counts as a world record. And actually the trains that the actual units themselves that set the world record are in preservation. They do still exist, and those were two of the original HST units that they made. This one has been updated, so this one has LED lights at the front here. So those are LEDs, those are halogens. Horn goes in that grille section, and this front end is a modern front end. The old HSTs, the original ones, are referred to as, I think they're referred to as being Valentas by enthusiasts in the community, the original ones from the mid-70s. So what you're looking at is a world record holder, basically. It doesn't feel that fast, but for a diesel train going 148 miles an hour was quite spectacular at the time. So Electric trains nowadays can just blitz that. It's nothing to them. 148 means nothing to an electric train. Those can go... Well, the bullet train goes over 200 miles an hour in Japan, so... Yeah, some real speeds there. But still, this is a pretty sweet train. And it's easy to drive as well, surprisingly enough. Being such a powerhouse, it's quite easy to use. We do have climate control. It doesn't make any real difference, to be honest, but... There's our high and low horn. And there we go. So the HSTs that operate on modern British routes, they do still use these, but they are being phased out in favour of the new class 800 trains, which are electric, and those ones are built by Hitachi as well. And to be honest, I don't really think they're not as nice looking as this thing. I don't think. I think this is an air of class and an air of coolness about it that the Class 800 can't really manage. And it's only a short journey into Paddington from Old Oak Common, but you know, I just wanted to take it out for a spin for you. Yeah, I don't think the Class 800 trains are as good as these. And I don't think the train spotting community thinks so either, because there have been reports of people going onto Class 800 trains and ripping up the seats deliberately. So essentially vandalising the train that they're riding because they don't like it, compared to the old HSTs, one of which I'm driving. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that sometimes rail enthusiasts can be a little bit petty and quite bitter about things. In some ways I understand it, in other ways I don't. I understand if your personal opinion is that the new Class 800s are not on the same level as the 43 HST. I understand that. DSD going on. Not DSD, AWS. I said I'd explain that. But yeah, I understand you have the right to your opinion. If you don't like the new trains, then fair enough. But don't go on and vandalise them, because they are worth a lot of money. And they did cost a lot of money for the networks to actually introduce. I don't condone vandalism of trains. I don't condone vandalism of anything. Because it's a train, and it was designed by a company that, quite frankly, knows what it's doing. And it's just your personal opinion that you don't like them. And I'm pretty sure that they are going to be preserving Class 43 HSTs, because they already are doing that. So it's not as if they're going to be disappearing off the face of the planet. And I imagine that they're so useful as trains that they'll probably be used on older networks. They'll be used on older networks for years to come, because up here in the north we actually get most of the cast-offs. We have crap trains in comparison to what they have near London, so we'll probably be using HSTs in the future. Also, can I stop, please? Thank you. I hit the buffers. Never mind. But yeah, vandalising the trains is very excessive. I didn't really show it running there, to be honest, but main menu. I'm gonna do another thing because that was very short. And also I need to explain AWS. So to explain AWS, I'll take us on to Southeastern High Speed, because that has it as a feature. And I'll use a train that also has it as a feature as well. Oh, but first of all, do you want the rain to still be on? Yeah, why not? Let's just leave the rain on, shall we? Southeastern high speed. No designer. Call it A, because it doesn't really matter. And Faversham. Faversham to Rochester. Yeah, Faversham to Rochester. Doesn't really matter what we're using. Player service. Yep. Off the rails. I'll use the 166 for this, because that will display the AWS thing, basically, and I'll explain it. Yeah, vandalising is very excessive. I don't condone it whatsoever. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're going onto trains and vandalising them just because they don't like them. Yeah. But, hey, what are you gonna do? It's people. People do stupid things all the time. So, now it's time to explain AWS for those who are not aware of it. AWS is a safety system which is installed on British Railways, and AWS revolves around two key components. So this yellow thing is referred to by drivers as a sunflower. It's actually technically known as an AWS indicator, but it's called a sunflower because it kind of looks like one, with all the petals and all of that. This is the indicator to show you when AWS is sounding an alarm. You'll also hear an alarm. Along the tracks there are yellow magnets, which are kind of like this one. So they're either ramps or they're magnets. That in particular is a ramp. I'm going to unlock the doors in a moment. Where's the master key? There it is. I'll set the headlights. People do suck. Fault light, train preheat, train lighting, windscreen demister. Cab light is, don't really need it on, kind of do, kind of don't. I'll leave it off. AWS, the fuse is back here. And as you can see it's gone dark. And I press the AWS reset button, which is this yellow one. And also this is the DSD pedal. And I'll explain how those work when we finish loading the passengers. Got the wipers on. So, AWS is a safety system and it's intended to warn the driver if there is a signal coming up that is anything other than green. So in the British signalling system, green obviously means safe to go, safe to proceed past the signal. A double yellow means please think about slowing down, it's okay to pass the signal because the next signal block is not occupied. Then there's a single yellow, which is okay, the next block along is going to be occupied by another train, which means you'll be hit by a red signal, in which case you must stop before you pass the signal. And if the colour of the signal is anything other than green, i.e. yellow or red, AWS will energise a magnet that is close to the signal. And the magnets are embedded into the track. So you'll see in 700 yards we will have a green signal. And you'll be able to see the magnet on the track. By the way, this is a diesel train, it does make a little bit of a racket. Okay, a little bit of a noise. But you'll see in the track there'll be an AWS magnet. Further along, about 200 yards from the signal. Come on. I know there's one here. There's one. And you hear a beep. That little ding means that, okay, it sensed a magnet, but the magnet hasn't told it anything. So, if that signal was yellow, for example, AWS would go off and you'd hear an alarm. And when the alarm sounds, it beeps constantly, and you have to reset it. If you don't reset it within about 5 seconds, the train will put on its brakes by itself, because the system will tell it to do that. So what this is intended to do is, if the signal is yellow or red, you need the driver to either slow down or stop. And if the driver's not paying attention, or he's not willing to stop the train, i.e. he's either a maniac or he's suicidal or he's asleep or incapacitated, the train will basically stop itself, according to that system. Which is why you're not really going to get a runaway train unless AWS has been deactivated on the train, or it just doesn't work properly. And the reason why the system will know that is whether the magnet is energized or not. By default, if the signal is green, the magnet is not energized, and the system will not pick up the fact that it will roll over the magnet, which is why you hear that little ding. Says it's okay, it's fine, don't panic. It'll roll over it, it senses it's there, but because it's not energized, it doesn't recognize it as being a problem. When it is energized, then you'll hear the proper alarm, in which case you have to reset it by using AWS reset, which is that button there. So it's a safety system. It's very rudimentary, it's very simple, it doesn't take account of speed limits, so if a driver is speeding out of control, then it doesn't really recognise what the speed is. It's not as intelligent as that, but it is a very simple system and it works. Basically, if the alarm goes off, reset it, and understand why it went off and then adjust accordingly. That's the rules. We have a pretty kind of a weedy little horn on the 166 though. And at full throttle it does make quite a bit of quite a lot of noise. Anyway, that's AWS. If you're wondering what DSD is driver something system. Driver... It's basically driver awareness. The idea is it will go off every so often at regular intervals, and then you have to press the reset button in order to reset it. Because at one point trains always had a dead man's pedal. The dead man's pedal is basically, if you take your foot off the dead man's pedal, it will apply the brakes if the train is moving. However, somebody realised that that system wouldn't really be working properly. Because if somebody was asleep in his chair, he might still have his foot on the dead man's pedal, in which case the train will just keep going. So, in order to do that, what they did was they introduced DSD, which then goes off every so often to check whether the driver is either still there, or still awake, or not incapacitated, like someone hasn't just come and knocked him out or something. And that keeps the train safe in the United Kingdom. So you don't really need a computer system to manage all of this. It's just little ramps in the track and a pedal in the train, really. That's what it boils down to. Brilliant. There you go, it dinged and there's a green signal. You can see it in action. And they are spaced out quite regularly, so, you know, that's how it keeps it safe. Anyway, that is that. What was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, we are driving from Faversham in Kent to Rochester, which is a little bit far away, but not too far. Has it stopped raining? Or is it still raining? It may have just stopped raining. Or are we going too fast for it to render properly? We may be going too fast for it to render properly on the screen. Oh no, it's still raining a little bit. Coolio. Right. And I don't think American trains have the same safety systems. I don't think they do. They'll have something similar to DSD, it just won't be called that. Which is press a button every so often when the train prompts you to press it, and then it won't. Otherwise, if you don't press it, it'll slam on the brakes to stop itself automatically. But, yeah, following on from the people sucking, basically, the railway community made up of enthusiasts are either very bitter people or very nice people to be around. Most of them are quite bitter and boring. If you want to know anything about trains, don't ask a railway enthusiast because they will prattle on for hours. If you wanted to ask a simple question like when was this model of train first built, the best thing you can do is go on Wikipedia. Don't go to a railway expert, because a railway expert will usually prattle on for about 6 hours before telling you the answer you wanted to know. I'm not a railway enthusiast because I don't know everything there is off by heart. I'm just going off of information that I learn myself. And I won't prattle on for about 7 hours to tell you the answer. Because the answer to most questions usually takes less than a minute to say. I don't know, basically you have me who is I wouldn't say I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge, but I know stuff. I know enough that I could answer questions about this game and what's in it, really. But there are railway enthusiasts who are very bitter about things and who basically complain about trains that operate on the line currently. Most often pacers. Pacers are basically the generic term for a series of trains that were developed in the 1980s to carry over British Rail from its period of utter ruin into what is now privatisation. Pacers are essentially glorified buses with train wheels on, because a lot of them were developed by Leyland, the bus company. And those trains are, the railway community would call them very uncomfortable to ride, not very well built, not very quick, and just generally they just refer to them as pieces of scrap metal that have just been shoved onto the rails and sent along. My personal view of pacers is I think that they are an important stage in railway history. And if somebody wants to say, oh, just scrap them all, don't scrap them all, because people said at the time when they got rid of steam trains, oh yeah, scrap them all. If they're all useless, scrap them. And then nowadays it's all, oh no, they're all gone. I wonder why. Nobody... Well, here's just a thing. Before steam trains were actually scrapped, nobody thought they'd be going away. Not a single person in the whole of the UK thought that steam trains would just disappear from British rail lines forever. My grandfather, who was born in 1948, would have seen the end of steam trains in his, well, basically his 20s. And he used to do train spotting. He used to have a little book that he filled out every time a train went past with the number of the train and, you know, what model it was. He wished he would have kept that book, but he never thought he needed to, because he never thought, 40 odd years on, that he'd, you know, want to show it to his grandchildren, i.e. me. He never thought of keeping it. And people at the time never thought that steam trains would just disappear. In fact, that's one of the reasons that you even see footage of steam trains, because people were told, hey, in about 2 months' time, this is going to get scrapped. So people took their cameras down to the rail lines and took video footage of the steam trains. You can still see them in documentaries. If people hadn't have done that, then you would never see most of the steam trains ever again, because all they are now piles of scrap metal that have been melted down, who were often sent to railway yards that weren't very far away to be scrapped. A lot of which were in Wales and the south of England. Oh, the AWS alarm should go off. Yeah, it is. There you go. The sunflower went black for the moment, so yeah, that's what happens. Then when you clear it, it will go to yellow. Hooray! Oh, and for anyone wondering, Dovetail, the team behind the game, have said that they are going to be working on Steam for Train Sim World as a series. That doesn't guarantee that they're actually going to be putting it in Train Sim World 2. The reason being is because they have to optimise everything to work on consoles. And Steam Trains, as the name suggests, will produce a lot of steam, and Steam in terms of programming, it's very complex to do, and it may mess up the frame rate so much so that it would be unplayable on consoles. So that is why they're not saying, they're not really putting it onto the roadmap of content yet, because they're just not sure whether they can pull it off. Also, they are being very, very careful with Steam engines, because they know what the community is like surrounding Steam engines. Very, very passionate, and will cut anybody's head off that gets it wrong. Yeah, very passionate people. And not literally, of course, but they won't be happy if they mess up steam trains in a series about train simulation. As for what kind of steam engines they're going to be releasing, well, we don't know yet. But my guess is they are thinking long and hard about what they want to include and why and how long it's going to take. So for people who like steam trains, it's technically coming, but technically not as well. When it does come out, I will... I'd like to say that I pick it up instantly, because I do like steam trains. However, it may be that they don't do a good job on it the first time around, and maybe it would be more beneficial to wait until when there's a patch for it if they mess something up so catastrophically wrong, and then I get it. So, let's deal with that. And once I stop at Rochester, I will pretty much end the stream. So just warning you there. we've done a lot of things today. We've actually done technically 2 streams, but that wasn't intentional. So, yeah, that's everything new, and all the details about Steam. Oh, zooming in a bit too far there. This is really fun. I love some cool stuff. Oh, fantastic, well done. Well, I will be doing more videos on my channel, and obviously more streams and stuff in the future. I don't really have a schedule for anything though, so I can't tell you when to expect stuff. But there is more stuff on my channel that I've already uploaded and done, so if you want to look at those you can. But yeah, don't expect fabulous content from me, because I don't even have a proper gaming mic. Hopefully you can catch the 465 stream when I do that, which will be happening pretty much on the 4th of March, because that's when the 465 actually comes out, so hopefully you can tune into that. If you can't, then that's okay, because it'll still be on the channel when, well, afterwards it'll automatically upload. At least I hope it does. If it doesn't, then I shall be a bit annoyed. Almost at Rochester, and AWS went off as it was supposed to on the red signal. Fantastic. Anyone gonna get off? Oh yeah. 4 people. Rochester, and then there's everything modelled around. There should be a board up here. Yeah, welcome to Rochester, telling you that what the time is and all of that. Alright, well, that's the end of the video pretty much, or the end of the stream. I'm used to saying video. Do hope you enjoyed all of this, and I'll see you when I next do a video or a stream. Thanks for coming along, everybody who came along, and yeah, see you next time, because I really can't do closing speeches for these sort of things, but see you next time. You're all welcome. No need to thank me for doing it, I just do it anyway. See you in the next video then.